Hello, JJC Q&A time. I'm going to be interviewing Kenpachi, one of the devs from JJC, about the game, answering y'all's questions.
Yes, sir. Happy to be here. All right, let's get started.
All right. What is the time frame you plan to have the alpha update in?
All right, so our original time frame clearly did not work out as
Well,
planned.
yeah,
It did, but it didn't. Internally, a lot went really well, and there were a lot of unforeseen circumstances in everyone's personal lives that kind of had to be taken care of before we could really buckle down.
yeah,
We've been entirely focused. Jay and I actually talked about this probably a day ago. Our time frame is we really want it out like next week or the week after that. That's the week after that being like, come on, if it's not out by then, we're just gonna go to the rest of the team and be like, come on, where the fuck is? Oh, should I censor myself or?
nah, don't worry about it. I
All right,
mean,
cool. Uh, where are the things we need? Like, and of course, we're understanding about everything, but we need to get everything out. Um, from a lot of our devs, a lot of the assets are already all in and ready to be put into the game in terms of the raw assets exist, but the small components to get them properly working are, in works. Things like
yeah,
animations,
it's like a puzzle,
primarily.
basically. You have to have all the pieces.
Exactly. Exactly. And on that end, I will say we are very close and everything is coming together very nicely. Um, but once all the pieces are in, it shouldn't take long at all to put together. A lot of like, oh, let me grab some water.
Whereas-
Really changing weather. I'm sick constantly now. It's just little colds. But where was I? Yeah, with everything that the testers have like helped us with like the map geometry, that's been huge and just figuring out little things and even like small combat tests just for what we have right now. I'll get into like more combat things later on, but for what we have right now it really helps with like current number balancing because there's a lot of numbers to everything. Every skill,
yeah,
every trait, every clan, it's a lot to balance out and make sure it's all fair, but also,
yeah, I do
there's
feel like
a
the
purpose
king,
to grinding for certain things.
yeah, I do feel like the king and Zenny definitely need a buff. Those are terrible right now.
I do agree. I absolutely agree. There's a lot of things that need little retouches, and I will say some things have not been touched as there are other parts to them that will be improved on as we add things
Yep.
later on.
All right.
A lot of those rebalances will just keep happening as we keep going.
All right, question two. What are the plans for 10 Shadows? I got this one a lot.
Um, so let me start with the raw 3D model assets that we do have. We
Hmm.
have the Divine Dogs, the Totality Wolf, Nui, of course, that's in game already. The
Yeah,
Rabbit, let's see, the Elephant, and Maharaga. With the Toad, I'm probably gonna finish up my Toad model. It's been a pain in my ass just because it's so annoying for some reason. I don't know why that one's been so irritating.
yeah.
Um,
From my
but
understand, oh,
oh
good.
yeah, no, carry on.
My understanding was that you'll be able to summon them and have like two or three separate keybinds with different abilities on them. Is that
So we're
true?
gonna test out a few different things. So that is an idea. Yes, absolutely. We're gonna try that out and see how that affects like how do I explain it? The data synchronicity, if that makes sense. So
Yeah,
that when keybinds change out, they don't completely screw up other keybinds. And other glitches like being able to summon way too many of a certain thing and having the ability to say, "Damn," all their moves at once and being able to infinitely just attack someone with your dog.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, we'll try that. We'll do the probably battleground skill style too and see how that works out. Because we also have to test out how these things affect, like, game lag. Because everything is gonna be pretty big. The game is gonna get pretty large after this compared to what players have
Yep.
currently seen. So, it's just a lot of balancing and not just number balancing, but how, things affect other things in game. Like some of the testers saw with when Rico was added, some M1s slowed down and things had to be
Yep.
touched up there. Yeah.
All right. So, what was it? So basically, is it the 10 shadows gonna be like mastery related, or are you gonna have to like tame them? I know you're gonna have to tame Maharaga, but the other ones, I mean,
So tame you will start with
the dogs,
what's it
yeah.
called? Your divine dogs, because that's
Mhm.
canon for sure. But then after that, I don't know if players will keep Nui. They might since they've already had access to it, we'll say. But what's it called? After that, you will have to tame them in some way.
Okay,
And then we'll see about the mastery, but probably to, like, properly use them, yeah, you'll need some sort of mastery just to,
okay.
give it some purpose, but
Know
it won't be,
how
like, ridiculous to tame them.
know how
Carry on.
Maharaga's adaptation is gonna work? 'Cause I honestly have no clue how. Either go really good or really bad. That's my opinion.
And I absolutely agree with you. So, I think right now, that might be a little bit of an afterthought at this moment, like, you know,
Hmm.
the purpose of an alpha is to make sure all the core foundations of the game itself are out,
Yep.
and past that point, once everything is all set up, it's actually properly working, and then there's been the large scale stress test, which is what the public opening is essentially going to be. It's how this small tested game from the control group test will expand to a larger population size, and then how our servers are going to be able to handle that, how Roblox's data stores are going to be able to handle all that. Will we need to rescript certain things? Like,
Yep.
what will need to be done to make sure that the game can run properly, not just for people with great PCs. Like if you have a great graphics card, you can run pretty much anything
Yep.
on Roblox. But
That's not
you
me.
know, exactly. I used to play on my MacBook Air not too long ago, and it was a 2015 MacBook Air. It sounded like it was about to take off every time I was either working or playing a game. God forbid I try to join like Blox Fruits or something like that. Nope.
Nope. Yep.
But yeah, no. I think every single thing in game. I'm fucking freezing. I need to turn up the heat at some point, but no.
Alright.
I want to answer these questions. But yeah, everything's gonna be expanded on as time goes. As far as I say, I want everything to at least be absolutely usable in its very first version when we release this alpha. And Jay agrees, the rest of our dev team agrees. We just want everything to feel a lot more complete. No more skills lacking from certain curses. Hmm. There will be, of course, there's certain curses that are more lower tier that won't have as many skills as, say, Infinity, that's been
Yeah.
shown off constantly in the anime, and you can make a ton of skills from that.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Was
yeah,
that,
yeah, carry on. Yeah,
what
for
are the
now.
plans for he and Sukuna, or just Sukuna in general?
I will ask you to elaborate on that question just a tiny bit, but as far as it goes, a lot of things are going to be finger based, and no, it's not going to be the One Piece style of hunting fruits for fingers anymore. You'll be able to go through like raids and finger bearer battles to stack up on fingers and such without having to spend, 3 days just staring at your screen mindlessly, hoping that you're the one that walks upon this finger in the woods.
Yeah.
Especially with the map expansion, I personally would just lose my mind.
That.
Like, I still
Oh.
have a plan. Oh, my bad.
Oh yeah,
This
you're
is a
good.
small spoiler, but, I still have a plan for these little cursed crates that spawn across the map, and they're just like little rewards. They can be a bunch of different things, whether it's like in-game currency or spins, fingers, just something random. It can be a small reward to a big reward, but if you stumble across one, lucky you. It's like little lucky blocks in Mario Party or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, do you know any moves that are gonna be added or reworked with? That's what I mean.
Um, for sure. I know the Hellfire Arrow, if it hasn't already been turned into an ultimate, it's gonna get reworked and turned into an ultimate.
Oh damn.
Um,
So it'll have like a normal version and an alt version, from my understanding. Like
I
kind of like
I think it's
purple.
actually just gonna get maybe like purple. Yeah, it might work like purple. As far as I know there's gonna be an ultimate version of it that has a larger hitbox. And I don't know if regular Arrow will exist anymore, or will it move to an ultimate? Because
Okay.
we've also realized that we need more move diversity per se, in the sake of Infinity will have, 2, 3 ultimates. It has its domain, it has purple, and it's, what's it
Max
called? Max
blue,
blue.
and it's got
Yeah.
gonna get nuke purple, isn't it?
Yeah, that's gonna work, that might actually work in tandem with Max blue,
Max blue, like
possibly.
you press it again or something. I think that's what we're
Yeah,
talking
yeah. So that's a to be decided. And again, I will say, we do have a, like, broad framework for how we want this game to work, but there are a lot of things that are to be decided only in the sake of they actually have to be script tested first.
Yep.
Um, there's multiple variations of each thing that we have in mind. It's just that it has to be tested to make sure it works properly.
Yep. And I remember a while back you sent me a Malevolent Shrine sneak peek. Is that still being used? Like,
Possibly, yeah. We're trying to figure out a few things with domains in general. I will say we just reworked Infinite Void.
yeah, I
Shout out
saw
to Jay,
that.
he figured that out real quick. Um, but yeah, I think we're just gonna slowly keep working on domains as the game goes. I want to get the techniques out before we solely focus on like the
Yeah, I
vastness of
agree.
domains.
I agree. Honestly, I feel like
Um,
some techniques should just receive like a custom domain in game if they don't have one shown in the anime, just to balance things
I was
out.
thinking, yeah, either like a custom domain or even how some techniques are gonna have modes. Like Mahito is gonna have his like idle
Idle mode.
transfiguration mode,
Yeah,
whatever that's called.
I don't
Yeah,
remember what it's
the
called
the
either.
Stitch one or whatever. It's pretty cool,
Yeah,
but the it's gonna have that, and uh, what's another one that has a mode right now? Technically, I guess Vessel's a mode. Infinity has its mode. Um,
yeah,
just more things to make lower tier curses. Not like lower tier. Some of them, of course, are gonna stay like more common, but I want everything to be at least viable in combat in some way, shape, or form.
yes,
Like
I
when you
agree.
spin something, I don't want it to be like, "Damn, I spun this again." It's like if you're out of spins, I want you to at least be able to temporarily use what you have and not be like, "This is the worst thing in the world."
Yeah, I understand.
Mhm.
Another thing I was gonna ask about. So Key and Sakuna. Do we
Yeah.
know if it's gonna have like extra moves or just more damage and be able to pierce infinity?
Uh, that's a Jay question. I know he has a lot of thoughts on that one. I know how it's
Yeah,
gonna be achieved. The 20 fingers, probably a boss battle after that.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm pretty sure I knew that.
Mhm. It's probably gonna grab, like, a move or 2. It also depends on what's shown in the anime,
True.
the manga, all that. Just 'cause
We don't
at
really know much about it.
yeah, before we start expanding past the canon, I want us to get, like, the little bits and pieces that we can
Yeah, I agree.
to
I mean, a world
yeah.
slash ult would be cool, but
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's been, things like that planned. I know there's, like, grab skills, skull smash type things, just
yeah.
a wide variety of expansion to combat, and that's from the standpoint of not just the combat builder, because we haven't gotten into that, but,
Hmm.
skills being added to each curse that are desperately lacking certain skills, and
Yep.
certain curses getting reworked. Um, let's see, what's a Heavenly Restriction's a good example of that one. It's not gonna be what it is now, is all I can say. I guess
Yeah.
new moves,
New
different
moves. Didn't that you say it was gonna have like different progression, like a bounty hunter progression kind of thing?
I don't know if it's gonna have a bounty hunter progression per se, but I do wanna add a bounty system to the game. Uh,
They
take
can't
that as you
exactly
will.
get cursed energy. That's the problem with it right now.
Yeah, missions will, compensate that a lot. And then I know Jay has something in mind for kinda what is a good word for it? Finding the in between, like, Heavenly Restriction users and other curse users, since there is that lack of cursed energy being used.
Yep. Okay, you kind of already answered number four, which was the plans for Infinity Six Eyes. You already explained the new purple. That was the main question.
Cool, cool.
Um, what are the plans for mimicry?
Okay. Let me open our last, game animations chat. And I'm not gonna spoil too much out of it, but let's go over to mimicry. I know it's in here. Can't read. Okay. So mimicry will in some way have a copy technique, and whether
Hmm.
that'll work in the way of if a move was used in proximity of the player within like a certain amount of seconds or a minute or something of that nature, something feasible, we'll test that variable out, of course.
I mean, a cool idea for it, maybe it could be like a rush, like you cut them or something, because you do have to intake their DNA for the
Yeah, yeah,
as we
yeah. We
saw.
talked about this one, but it's Roblox. I don't want to get too into it
Yeah, I
because I
agree.
also want it to still be viable. I know Rika's gonna be a cool expansion to it, because she's gonna get her, like, true love beam or whatever it's
Yeah.
called, the ground pounding type animations. She already has M1s that are probably gonna keep getting, worked upon, um, and then as far as what's it called? The domain goes for it, I will say, I don't wanna add the domain just yet. I
Yeah,
hate
I
what
agree.
certain I hate that certain games have taken and added the domain. I don't hate it, I love that I've seen it, like, exist, but, I saw it super early and I was like, "What is that?" Because I saw it off of a Roblox game, through
Oh
our
yeah,
Discord,
yeah,
for the very first time, and then I Googled it, and of course, I was gonna spoil it for myself eventually, but I was like, "Whoa, there are people who get so mad about spoilers, and finding out
yeah.
this
I
way would
agree.
be insane." But domain will exist. Give it time. probably
Yep.
part 2 of Alpha,
Okay.
honestly. It depends how much I can hold myself back from modeling the domain, which I don't know how long that'll be.
Yep. Okay. How will the quests and curse AI work?
Ooh, okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool. I love this. So, Curse AI. Curse AI is gonna be pretty interesting 'cause, there's a question number 8 is asking if the game is gonna be a bandit beater. So I
Yep.
guess explaining the AI itself would explain that it's kind of not kind of, it's not. There's so many different ways to progress, I think, that it defies that, like, bandit beater aspect that a lot of RPG games have become. Because I don't want it to just be an RPG game. I want you to be able to, like, level and progress and have your competitive fights, but I want it to feel like, what kinda what the video game Jujutsu Kaisen wasn't lacking, like, that fighting aspect, the game
Yeah.
modes, like, the culling games are such a big part of the whole thing. There's, like, the Fight Club that's not talked about. There's so many different ways to get "stronger," quote, unquote, in the Jujutsu Kaisen world, but also to experience the world, and, I want the
Yeah.
game to have a lot of those different aspects. That was a big tangent. I feel like it's good information, but back to the Curse AI, they're gonna move like players would. That's the goal. We're working on getting them to move as if, for the most part, you're fighting a player. Nothing like too difficult, depending on what you're fighting, of course. But they should be beatable, but they shouldn't be, easy.
Yeah.
And that
Okay.
goes for the humanoids and the like cursed spirits and such.
Okay.
Quests, there's gonna be varying quests, there's gonna be combat quests, I'm sure, exploration quests, I'm sure, just a whole different variety of different ways to get EXP, whether you want more of a fighting-based thing of, just
Mhm.
exploring or whatever,
Okay.
playing a mini
So,
game.
yep. Will there be more vessels, and if so, do you have any specific ones planned?
Interesting question, I will say, for Alpha, no, there will
Well,
not
yeah,
be any other
obviously.
vessels,
I mean, for like
but,
the future.
I've read through. See, a lot of people think we don't read through suggestions, but we do. I do, at least.
Yeah.
So, I've seen a lot of things about, like, a Kenjaku vessel, adding some boost to curse manipulation. That I think that'd be a cool feature. I do wanna, like, look into more of the other vessels that exist
Like
in the
Angel.
Jujutsu Kaisen. Yeah, I wanna look into some of them and see, like, what sort of skill sets and things can be made for them, for sure. I
Mhm.
want this game to have a ton of expansion possible, but at this alpha version, I want to be the,
The base.
first step towards it feeling like
Yeah.
a game. 'Cause till
Agreed.
now, like I've said, it hasn't been a game. It's been kinda just, "Here's some things, you can progress," and that's just been, "Thank you guys for letting us test and, supporting the game. I want you guys to be able to keep all your stats and things." Um, there's a progression question later, so your stats will come back into play later. Like, I'll
Mhm.
mention them again later there. But yeah.
Okay, and that's actually the next question because you already answered 8. How will progression
Oh,
work?
sick. Um, oh, well, then let me go back up to 8 real quick and finish that because I do wanna include that, um, it's a toss-up whether we include them in part 1 or part 2, game modes.
Yep.
Certain game modes, to be
I
exact. Raids, I wanna make sure that all the AI is working properly and such before we add, like, bigger raids and things of that nature past, like,
agreed.
quests, missions, bounties. 1v1 and 2v2, the competitive that's actually, like, ELO based, I wanna make sure all the Jay and I both wanna make sure that all the combat and everything works well and is balanced enough so that people aren't just blindly, raising and lowering their ELO, before things feel better at least.
Yeah.
And then, like, the culling games and things like that, again, I want to make sure that combat is fair and there's not just blind EXP gain out of nowhere for things like that.
Yeah, in fact,
Um,
how would the polling games work? Like a battle royale in the map, or would it be like a separate map? Do we know yet?
so I'm gonna explain all the game modes to some extent now. Um, for the most part, all of the game modes will work through Roblox's universe system. Do you know what that is, or do I need to? I guess some people might not.
Like being
The
able to
universe system is
teleport
based.
to other experiences that within that experience.
Exactly, yeah. So it's like a separate place, but, like, all the local lag of that one place isn't there so that, a specific group of players can experience, that game mode, especially if it's smaller game modes like the 1v1s and 2v2s. 'Cause for those, I wanna make custom maps. I want,
Hmm.
I've talked about this before, but, like, the fighting game style, I'm gonna take bits and pieces from, like, uh the anime locations, real world Tokyo locations, and just parts of the map that already exist, and make like, slightly higher detail versions of smaller locations. So it's more like picking your map in a fighting game. That's gonna be decided through like a coin toss probably.
Okay. And then obviously, how will progression work? Kind of got into
Okay,
that.
so yeah, basic progression, raise your stats, is the very first part of it. Then past that, it's gonna be
Like a
like
quests.
yeah, quests, grading up is gonna be a big part of it because there are
Yeah,
caps for
obviously.
each grade. Um, and that's just kind of for balance's sake. It does help balance and also help with future modules, which is for future code, essentially, in game, just kind of getting it all to run smoothly in pipeline instead of, scrambling.
Mhm.
Um, it seems excessive, but it is not just canon, but it helps the game run smoother in terms of there's a bigger pipeline for filtering certain things.
Yep.
Like your
Also,
1v1s and 2v2s, you won't be fighting people
mhm,
that are absurdly higher ranks than you.
yeah, it'll be like skill based matchmaking,
Exactly. Exactly.
or you could just equalize the stats, I guess.
Mhm.
Either way.
There's already to some extent some stat equalization happening in the 1v1s and 2v2s, so not too much to worry about there. There's an idea for it, but we want to play around with it a little. And of
Okay.
course, you guys are going to give us feedback on it.
It will becoming a curse be an option in the future? Obviously not in alpha, but like far future.
This has been a thought, yeah. Um, I don't want to give a definitive answer, but I will say probably to some extent there's going to be something in choosing your like faction type thing.
Yeah, what could be
I think that's cool.
cool is like you get the curse techniques based on whatever faction you were in. I mean, that could
To
that
some extent, it could also be like more exclusive, like faction exclusive quests and things like
yeah,
that.
okay.
So you can
Yeah.
get like certain accessories or cosmetic items and things like that that the other faction just can't get.
Yeah, agreed.
That'd be kind of cool.
Mhm.
Of course we'll work more on that in the future, but I do like the concept for sure, and we've all discussed it before.
Will HR still be able to use vessels?
Interesting question. I haven't actually talked to Jay about this one. Probably. I don't think that they won't be able to. I will say that in general, there will be a lot less mode stacking. So, like, not a
Yeah,
lot less. There won't be mode stacking. There's going to
yeah, I
be a
saw.
mode button. Um, but yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that one for sure. But I can't give you a super definitive right now.
Okay. Already covered the HR receiving new moves and reworks. Okay, 13. How will combat builder work and will it be viable with weapons and CTs in the game? I mean, how will it be viable with weapons?
Okay, so already to begin, M1 and M2 combat is surprisingly very important. You can't just stick to being super far from someone. You have to at least connect your hits, especially if you want to build up your ultimate. You can't just range attack for it.
Yeah.
Um, so in that sense, I think it's gonna diversify everyone's build a lot because not everyone is just gonna be, Infinity, Gojo, Six Eyes, with the same exact traits, with the same exact fighting style or whatever.
Mhm.
It's to some extent, it's kind of an animation editor, but it will have
Different
some viability
M2s,
to
like
yeah, different M2s, different combos. You're gonna be able to choose between your, 4th and 5th hit combos, whatever your overall fighting style, which you can choose from. I believe we have 5 or 6 right now, maybe 7, I don't know.
so that
I just sent
one oh sorry. Go on.
I just sent them to be revised by the animator, so
Okay.
what's up?
I was gonna ask, so that you've seen Jay use that one combo in the game, the Gojo one. Will that be part of the combat builder, or will that be it's just
Yeah,
exclusive to him?
more th it'll more than likely, either that one or a variation of it will become available in the combat builder along with other various combos. Yeah, so the reason his combo even exists there is to test the function of that, what's it called, 5th M2
Yeah, I
type
agree.
space existing. Um, so it gives you just a double chance of comboing almost, so that you're not constantly stuck M1, 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 M1. I missed my M2, retreat. There's more chance to actually build combos and such.
Agreed.
Um, in terms of with weapons, in the future, I think that there will be more weapon animations to start. Each weapon is gonna have its own animation set, and they're gonna use those regardless of what fighting style or whatever you have. The weapon has its own way to be wielded. It's technically its own fighting style, quote unquote, but we don't wanna have a separate weapon stat because, that who wants to level another
Yeah,
stat?
agreed.
Exactly. We already have enough, but yeah, I think it'll be really cool because 'cause you're gonna see a bunch of different people fighting a bunch of different ways. You could see one person boxing, one person doing, like, Muay Thai, and then the other one's doing crazy Sanji kicks out of nowhere exclusively. I mean, I think it's gonna be a lot better seeing a lot more different move sets and builds, because I'm not gonna lie, it's stale seeing everyone use the same builds,
I
whether
agree.
it's Vessel, whether it's Infinity, those are the 2 most common ones, but, I want everyone to be able to enjoy the game in different ways so you can have, a unique build, whether that's finding a way to use Straw Doll in some interesting way, maybe comboing it with a Vessel or something,
Mhm.
just more diversity in game.
Okay, so for 14, I'm gonna change it up a bit. Well, how will the absorbing system with curse manipulation work? Like, you be able to summon the
So,
curses, put them in Uzumaki, stuff like that.
I gotcha. This is a fun one because I'm actually really excited for curse manipulation. I'm still trying to decide between maining 10 Shadows or curse manipulation.
I'm
I
main in
just
that Ten
I
Shadows.
I just have such an attachment. I've modeled things like the things for both of them, or at least parts of them, and I don't know. There's an attachment to them. But in terms of being able to like absorb them, I don't it's not gonna be like you're just gonna fight it once and you're just gonna absorb it for certain curses. There's gonna be an amount of times that you have to beat something, whether it's like a common curse that you have to beat a few times or whatever. That's gonna be how that taming capturing side works, just because it's also a Roblox game and there has to be some sense of balance. And I do think curse manipulation is gonna be one of the more fun things that gets a lot of work as the game progresses and more 3D models are made, just because it has a lot of endless variety of moves that can be added. Because I do think that your moves are gonna change based on the curses that you have absorbed. Like, you're gonna be able to choose from your absorbed curses and what moves you're gonna be able to use with them. Um, and then in terms of, like, Uzumaki, yeah, I think that's just gonna be based on what curses you have absorbed. That I think me and Jay just talked about this. It is gonna be based on what curses you have absorbed. So it's gonna count, like, grade 1 curses, 2, 3, 4, and then, like, special, semi-special type things. So,
Yeah,
the more experienced player will be rewarded for, going through the struggle of not just capturing the cursed spirits that he or she wants to use for, their what's it called? Skill set,
yeah,
but also going out and capturing more, like, lower tier ones and certain special grade ones that, you might not like the moves associated with it, but you need it for your Uzumaki to make it a little stronger.
yeah. Okay, so when you use Uzumaki, will it delete the curses you put into it? Because I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
To be decided, yeah, more than likely to some extent. If not delete, at least, like, have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
any plans for simple domains? This has been a big one.
Yes, as the game progresses, we want more moves, more so skills, like simple domain, that wicker basket that I've heard people talking about, divergent
Yep.
fist that doesn't exist in game right now, funny enough. Um, Things like that to be learnable, so that, players with that choose to main curses, like, say Straw Doll, that don't have a ton of moves, can still diversify their builds and have different aspects to it. So
Mhm.
it's aside from your curse, you have your own, like, unique fighting style. Um, I will say a lot of the game and its enjoyment, I will say, is gonna come to, how much you wanna, like, experiment with different builds and things like that. Like, you can do a whole lot, or you're gonna be able to do a whole lot with a lot of different things, so no point not playing around with them and figuring out, the off meta builds and stuff that just tear apart meta and, like, when competitive becomes a bigger thing?
Yeah, agreed. Will there be? This was made a while ago, but will there be any way to obtain personal trait spins as a free-to-play player? Like, I know mist orbs exist, but aren't those getting removed or something?
Those might exist still, but, yes, in general, there's gonna be ways to
Like,
obtain
I
a
was gonna
ton of
think
things.
maybe you could use yen for them or something.
Yen, possibly, some conversion between spins, and also, game modes. Certain game modes will have rewards simply for participation, and the better your team, or not team, for battle royale, that's kinda solo. Maybe if you have allies, but oh, yeah, you can ally. It's point based. It's gonna be point based. It's not just you die and you're done. It's gonna be kinda,
Hmm.
yeah, point based. The 2v2s, your team is gonna be rewarded, the 1v1s, and then raids and stuff, your ally groups, whatever, are gonna be rewarded depending on how you do. I want the game to be very accessible to free to play players, in terms of players who just don't have a ton of Robux to spend?
Hmm.
Uh, and then, if you do have Robux to spend, go for it. Yeah, if you wanna make the game, faster for yourself, quote unquote, feel free. But I want everyone to be able to enjoy the game. Again, that's any sort of spending, any sort of PC build. It's whether you're playing on mobile, and eventually it's not on this question list, but I've been asked it so many times. Yes, probably we'll figure out a way to at least do a simple expansion onto console so that at least you can, like, level in some way on console. Because truthfully, this game is made for PC and at most mobile, because it has a lot of buttons more than a controller.
Yeah,
And I don't want you guys having to do unnecessary combos to do stupid little, like, basic things that a PC player would be able to just, haha, tap.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I think there's a lot planned for just the game to be enjoyable for everyone and just also expansion for the future.
Okay. This one I'm actually kind of excited to hear about. Will you be able to imbue your curse tools with a trait, like kind of like Bird Spear of Heaven, for example, or something like that?
He he he.
Like with a,
Um,
remember you mentioned like
I've
there was going to be a forging system, something like that.
yeah. We're still gonna probably incorporate some form of system for the blacksmith. There's gonna be like weapon shops, of course, for like various weapons. I'm not gonna disclose which ones. I don't wanna. I want you guys to see.
Yeah.
But also there's gonna be the weapons that are dropped from certain bosses, raids, whatever. Various ways to obtain weapons. Yuta's ring or whatever, which probably will have a different obtaining method too now. Um, I think it's gonna also be a chance to get that in curse crates. I say yes. But,
Okay.
yeah, I think that there should be different traits for weapons and such at some point. I
I
do
agree.
agree that at very least, there being a way to include yen and such to, like, buy on a trait from a shop onto your weapon.
Okay, yeah.
Say 'cause not everyone wants to use, inverted spear to hit through infinity just aesthetically. Some
Yeah.
people just wanna, do it with a different weapon, especially when, like, silly little weapons come out that are lower tier, quote, unquote, "weapons," like bats and crowbars, like, can you imagine hitting an infinity user with a crowbar? Insane.
Little chair
But
weapon.
a metal chair, ridiculous. All sorts of different things can expand. I don't think it'll happen this update, but at some point, I do think that, traits on weapons would be kinda cool. I think it could add a lot of fun to the game, whether it's, like, small things like, it just adds, like, an effect type thing, like an after slash to your weapon after you use it, or, like, poison, burn damage type thing, freeze, stun, whatever.
Okay. With the new curse techniques, will clans or like will any of the clans or curse techniques basically be buffed in rarity?
Yeah, as the game progresses and more techniques,
Like for
exist.
example, I know you're adding Hikari's curse technique. Will the Hikari clan be buffed from a rare to a legendary or mythic?
Possibly, yeah. I think there's a lot of things that can be moved around, and as we add more, we're gonna see how things line up, and we're gonna go from there, really. But yeah, I think a lot of rarities for both curses and clans are subject to change.
Okay, we kind of covered that one. How will bosses and fights like? For example, like will they be like only one person can pick up the drop? Everyone gets their own drops.
I think so as far as that goes, I think it's gonna be damage based. If you inflict enough damage
Okay,
on
yeah,
what you're fighting, you have a chance to get a drop, and everyone's gonna get their own drop. I don't think everyone's gonna be able to get the same drop.
yeah.
Um, back in the day, um, I used to play this computer game called Adventure Quest Worlds, and that's how the bosses there worked. It was just kind of whoever inflicted the most, or not the most damage, but enough of like a percentage of damage got a drop, and then from there it was just the game's RNG deciding what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah, I overcomplicated that for no reason.
Um, I think that's all of them.
There's this last one about curse manipulation being able will it be able to absorb disaster curses? I will
Yeah.
say that's a to be decided. Um,
Well, I
maybe.
figured because you
I
said special grades, I was figuring it would be like
Yeah, more than likely it'll be able to absorb special grades, that you fight, at least to put them into Uzumaki.
yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
Maybe
maybe not to, like, use them in combat, but at least to put in ooh, hiccup. Use in
I
Uzumaki.
mean you could make them like you know how Shindo's companion system works. like where they come out, use one move, and then leave.
Yeah, possibly.
Like Mahito uses Soul Touch, or Jogo use some Fire Blast or something.
Yeah, yeah, I think there's a lot of expansion that we can do with a lot of things, as we go. I think again, we wanna get the core of everything out first and then go from there. Um, since we're done with all, like, the main questions, I'll just drop a few, like, spoilers
Okay.
for, say, like, expansion, because a lot of people have been talking about, things that are in the future.
Hmm.
Um, I'm sure as I'm saying things, you're probably gonna think of other things,
Yeah.
but, like, I will say closed shops. Closed shops are probably gonna be part 2 of this alpha, update.
Yeah.
I don't think that the part 2 of this alpha update is gonna be a closed update. There's a chance it will be, but likely it's not gonna be. It's just gonna be the addition of things, and then we wanna switch over to a, like, actual weekly update schedule once the overall workload lessens. There's a lot of parts, again, that go into building a game, and especially the first version of a game, because
Hmm.
you're making something out of nothing, essentially.
Yep.
After that, it's just kind of maintaining it to some extent, and that lowers the workload on everyone, from our animators to Jay, who doesn't have to code a bunch of things. And Roblox isn't super coder friendly right now in terms of
Yeah.
multiple coders collaborating. You'd think they could do like a Google Docs type thing, but no. There's a beta for it, but it doesn't work fantastically right now. But yeah, I think there's a lot of expansion to be done and a lot of things to be added. I really think this game is gonna be really big when it's done, and the universe system is gonna be a big thing because the new map has that train station in the center of it. I want people to be able to, like, use their yen to buy, say, a train ticket to another city or another place, kinda like a DLC, but, not with Robux,
Yeah.
with your
Yeah.
in-game yen.
Yep.
Uh, 'Cause in I think the start of season 2, they were in Kyoto and the beach or whatever. I wanna do something like that. There's a
Love
lot of
that.
really cool places of Japan that I'd love to model, and it's not easy to do. It's just, go on Google Maps and pick, you know, buildings, locations, and things like that of an area and make it, but it's cool. Uh, like you'll see on the current map, it's very, very Japan, because it is
Hmm.
Japan. Go on Google Maps and it's pretty cohesive.
Yeah. I noticed a Shibuya crossing
Oh,
in there.
oh my god, it's mind-numbing, but it's really cool. And I think that, for some players, they'll really enjoy that little attention to detail. I know a lot of people won't really notice it because it's Japan. They haven't been to Japan and don't know, like, the what's it called? Layout. I have never been to Japan, so Google Maps.
Yeah.
If I saw it, I wouldn't know that it was accurate to anything. Um, but yeah, I think there's a lot of things that can be done just in general and constantly be added, whether that's small things from accessories to, the constant addition of new cursed spirits and missions to do, because there's a lot of cursed spirits that, we do still have left to model. And as we keep modeling more of them, it'll be easier to just do them one by one and add them in one by one that way, rather than,
Yeah.
to show in a first version
Yeah. I agree.
type thing. Yeah, and at that point, all the combat UI and stuff, or not UI, AI will exist at that point, so it'll be easier to incorporate.
All right. You have anything else?
Uh, Not right now. I hope we don't need to do one of these again for this update. I hope
Let's hope
next
not.
time it's just fingers crossed. I've coordinated with we've all been coordinating, and we've made sure that our outsourced commissions are properly working and things are being fixed up because, there were some complications in the assets and, their delivery and such, but it's okay. Things like that happen, it's part of development. It's annoying to us, it's annoying to y'all, and you guys can't even, like, fully experience it just in the form of delay. Um, but big plans, and we're really close to executing the very first version of JJC. So, yeah,
All right.
that's about it.
Well, I guess have have a great rest of your day.
You too, man. And yeah,
Oh,
you can just feel free to upload this whenever.
yep. One last question. I know that a lot
Ask
of
away.
greenies are gonna ask, how's your dog and how are you healing up?
Okay. So, dog's fine, in the sense that, he's on medication now.
Okay,
We've
good.
started finding his, like, medication dosage so that, he can stay in remission for as long as possible, and it doesn't also, like, destroy his immune system. Um, he should stay in remission, uh, just naturally through medication. There's a small chance that things can pop up again,
Yeah,
uh, even with maintenance, but it's unlikely. He will, like, forever have an autoimmune disease essentially,
yeah,
in human terms, so he'll probably not live as long as, like, other German Shepherds, but thank God he's alive now
yeah,
and, everything, uh, rest of the family is doing okay with, like, grandma's passing. Unfortunately, we can't fly back to Bulgaria to attend any services or anything, but, okay, we're still here.
yeah. That sucks.
But,
How are you healing
yeah,
up?
I have not had a proper chance to sit down and really, like, bed rest, but it's okay. I have been trying to manage as much as I can. I've been icing as I've been working and,
Hmm.
I got a massage gun for, like, $30 on
Oh
Amazon,
yeah,
great purchase.
those are nice.
Um, but just little things should be all good. I just wanna get this update out, and then I
Agreed.
can take a little bed rest and, carry on again because JJC has a lot of room to grow, and I want this game to last for quite a while, and I want you guys to have content for a while.
Agreed.
Yes, sir. But yeah, that's about everything. Do you have any more questions that you can think of off the top of your head?
Not really. All right.
Cool. All right, man. Well, you have a good rest of your day. It's been awesome being able to answer questions because I know we've been lacking on
Hmm.
communication and there's just been so much going on everyone's end. And, also we just want to make sure that when we do communicate, it's, worded the best way, I will
Yeah.
say. That customer service type thing. But yeah, uh, yeah, a lot of exciting things to come. Excited for the game. And yeah, everyone
All
have a
right.
good day. Whoever listens to this,
Yep.
hope you're
Agreed.
excited because I am. I'm so sorry for all of our delays. I really am. It sucks that a lot of it is beyond like the core dev
Yeah.
team's control.
A lot of it's
Uh,
out of your control.
that's the part that sucks. A lot of it is like outside of just the core control of the dev team. Like we've done everything else, time management. We've, organized our days so we're able to put in hours to this game every day despite, having real life things, regardless if that means, losing some sleep or whatever. We want to be able to get you guys a game.
Yep. I
Yep.
do hope it's
All
successful.
right, man. Me too. If anything, I hope that, it's a good bit of players. Need a
Yeah.
thousand just playing at a time. That's all we can ask for. I just want to have at least a little community of players that enjoys our game. We spend a lot of time into this, and it's a learning experience for a lot of us. How to make a game and put it together, it's a lot of work, but it's rewarding in the end, especially seeing everyone's reactions to new content. I love seeing everyone's reactions to like the map. That was awesome. Especially like seeing them walk out of the old area into the new one. That was sick. No one
Yeah.
expected it.
Yeah, I was hella confused. I was like, wait a minute, is this the new map? Or
Yep, just
I
walk a
walk
few
out and
steps
I'm like, damn.
further. Yep. And it's things like that that are just nice, seeing your work pay off to some extent, and
Mhm.
the whole dev team's working hard. We're really excited for this game. We did Jujutsu a few years ago,
Yep,
and
I remember
it
that.
just was the wrong time. It was the wrong time in our lives, and now we're back and wanna make the real deal.
Yep,
Jujutsu was close to being revamped, and we had a ton of assets for it, you know? But now in modern times, scrapped those, started over, and here we are.
yep. All right. Have a great rest of your day.
You too, man.
See ya. And thanks to anyone who
Yeah.
listened to this. Bye.
Yes, absolutely. Bye.